Hi, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about HR process automation, and we're going to drill in specifically into automation of an employee verification letter. And this can be utilized for any other HR issued document that is requested by employee, which requires them to fill in certain information and then approved by HR. Before I continue, let me just introduce myself. My name is Yam Siwei. I'm the consulting director and co-founder for People Hive, and I specialize in talent management and HR process automation. And for this case today, we can talk more about HR process automation. Let's go deeper about employee verification letter. Of course, this is just a sample that we choose as our hands-on activity today, but you can do it for any other processes that has the same steps as per below. Yeah. Typically, what will happen is that an employer will request for an employee verification letter by sending email to the person in charge, right? And they will have a certain kind of information they will require from HR to proceed. And they will talk to the person in charge to complete the info, right? The person in charge will need to know why are you requesting for this letter, and what's the reason. And he or she will then approve and will then compile this Excel sheet for processing and create a letter from the template. And as you may imagine, this takes time, 25 minutes roughly. And what can we do in this case when we want to automate things? We can easily digitize this, right, through the following steps. The first one is that we can get employee to submit their request with the details into Microsoft Form, right? And the person in charge can then review the details and provide approval through email without manual hard copy. And lastly, data is compiled into an Excel sheet. In most cases, you can use the mail merge, right, to create that said document. But for this case, today we're going to use the Word document automation to immediately create the Word document after approval by the HR person. So I'll summarize these steps or our activities into 4 steps today. We're going to do 4 things. First, we're going to collect data through Microsoft Form. After that, we're going to obtain approval using Power Automate, which is part of Microsoft application. Then we're going to insert the data into a database for tracking in the Excel sheet. And lastly, we're going to generate document using Word, right? So all 4 things are very much available in your Microsoft Tools toolbox if you are subscribing to Microsoft 365. All right. So let's get into the hands-on activity. First thing first, I just want you to go to your browser, right, and type in the following email address, the following browser, right? Following address, okay, office.com/apps. You'll get to this menu where it shows all the apps that's made available for you. As long as you have this icon here, Power Automate, you're all set to go to do automation. So for this case, I want you to press the form, right, and click on New Form. Remember, we are creating our data collection forms, right? So the first thing I want you to do is to name your form. And remember the name that you're given this form. So for me, I'll call this employee verification documents. Okay. And then create those questions that you want to get from the employee. So I'll do the obvious. You can add in as much as you want, right? But we obviously need the name from the employee. We will need department, HR, okay, any others, right? Then maybe you want the request date, okay, and maybe you want to have to capture the reason, and lastly, the one thing that you need to make sure that you do is to collect their email address. Yeah. Why? Is because later when you want to send the generated document back to the employee, you need to take the email information from this form to use it for your Outlook to send it to the employee. All right. So Microsoft Forms has been set up, and I hope that you have done the same for yourself too. Right. So step 1 done. Let's move on to the second step. Let's work on the email database. Okay, we have these two files here. We will have provided the link for these two files uh, to, to our website, and I hope that you have downloaded these files from the website prior to this session. If not, please do download it now, and make sure that you save this file on your desktop. Okay. So once you have saved that file on your desktop, just open the Excel sheet and let's do this together. So you remember the questions that we've asked in the form, right? Let's put them on the header of the Excel sheet. Yeah, so we collected names, right? Department, request date, and reason, and email. So why do we put it this way? We are setting up the header for us to collect the data downwards later. Yeah. And the next thing that you need to do is this. This is an important step. I want you to highlight your headers and then click onto the Insert tab, click onto Table, and make sure that you put a tick onto my table has headers and then click OK. If you've done the step right, you should be seeing a blue highlight onto your Excel sheet right now. That's good enough. We have done our preparation. All you need to do is now save the document and close it. Okay, so second step done. We have prepared the Excel sheet for database tracking. Now, let's go and prepare the Word document for uh, generation data. Yeah, open the file that we sent to you. This will be the sample, right? You can use your own Word document later, right? But for the purpose of this, we have given you the sample with some instructions, the same instruction that we'll be briefing you later, so that you can refer to them instantly. So what should we be doing to prepare the Word document? First, click on the File tab and go down to the option over here, the bottom left, and you see a mini menu. Over here, click on the word Customize ribbon, and you see two columns. Go to the right column, scroll down, and you see this word Developer, right? Most likely, your developer is unticked. In this case, make sure it's ticked so that you can see the Developer tab later, and click OK. If you've done it successfully, you should see a Developer tab right on your screen here, where my mouse is. Click onto it. And now, let's set up the document for it to be templated and for it to be generated later. Okay, so remember we collected a few information. The name, the department, the request date, the reason, and then the email address, right? So we're going to insert only 4 information, right? We're going to insert name, right, into this area here. And how should we do it? First, I want you to highlight the word employee name and then go to these double A words here, the second one, and click onto it. And you notice that there is a box surrounding employee name. So what happens is that we are now telling the automation later to insert specifically the employee name into this column marked employee name. And if let's say Mr. Robert submitted that request, you will see that the generated document will then read, we would like to confirm Robert with the following reason, right? Let's say it's working for company XYZ. Yeah, so that's how it works. So in this case, let me just prepare a few of these for templating, right? Um, okay, so if you have ensured that those appropriate area has been boxed up, then you're all good to go. Bear in mind, you can do more than 4, right? According to your requirement, but for today, we are just keeping it simple. Yeah, make sure you save this document, press the X. Okay, so we have done 3 steps. So now, um, the last step is automation. Yeah, but before we go to that, right, I just want to make sure that for these 2 documents that you have prepared, right, make sure that they are actually saved on your OneDrive. Yeah, it can be either through the file manager here. You make sure that you save it into another space that is under OneDrive, or you can save it onto your OneDrive through the browser. Yeah, in my case, I'm already saved into my OneDrive here, right, for these two files. Okay, so once you're done with that, let's go back to the browser that we set up earlier. Again, office.com, apps, right? And we come to this app menu again. This time, let's click onto Power Automate. Okay, I need you to follow step by step with me, but as long as you follow those steps that I'm teaching you right now, we should be able to get this done. Yeah. So the first thing is click onto templates, right? We're not going to start from scratch. In fact, we're going to pick the relevant template so that it makes our job much more easier. And go to the word approval and click onto that. And over here, somewhere at the bottom right, there's this tab called Approve a Microsoft Forms Response to add a row to an Excel spreadsheet. Click onto that. Right, you'll see this screen with the word continue. Click onto that too. Okay, so now we have this bunch of process flow boxes here, right? What you need to understand is that for the first box, it is always a trigger box. So what it means is that when a new response is submitted through those Microsoft forms that we have created earlier, this Power Automate flow will immediately get triggered to start. Yeah. So in this case, let's pick the form that we have created earlier. You remember I called it employee verification documents. You might have totally a few names that you might have named it earlier. Okay, all right. Start an approval. Put in the email address of the person who is in charge, right? So in this case, um, I'm putting my name in, right? You can put any other names. And under this detail, right, um, set it up in such a way where you provide as much information as possible for the person in charge to review and give their approval, right? So in this case, I'll just type very quickly the information. Um, Dear person in charge. So where you see right now, right, this name icon here is actually dynamic in nature. So when I click onto that, right, it will appear here. And what happens is that, let me just type this out. What happens is that it will fit in the name into this column according to the names that were submitted in the Microsoft form earlier. Yeah, so let me just provide a little bit more information. He is from department and his reason for request is the reason here. And we are all ready, right? So later when you submit those information in the forms, it will come out in the approval request email. Okay, so that done. All right, let's proceed to the next step. Very quickly, what happens if, let's say, you get approval for it, right? What happens then? We want to capture the data into the Excel database. So in this case, I want you to click onto this and select the OneDrive for Business, right? We are setting this up so that it puts into the right area and go to File. So whichever place that you have saved your Excel file earlier in OneDrive, right? Just go to that file, right? In this case, I've saved it here, right? Select that file and click on this and select Table 1. Once you have selected Table 1, you remember the header that you created earlier, right? It all appears underneath the table. And what happens if you don't have a Table 1? What it means is that earlier in the step where I've asked you to create the right header templating, right, you might have missed out on the step. So if that's the case, please go back to the earlier segment to see how you can create the right header for the Excel sheet. Okay, so over here, what we then need to do is that we just need to match the name or the information that we gotten from the Microsoft Forms, which is around here, into the column that we want the Excel to capture. So in this case, the header of the name, we just want to capture the name from the Microsoft form. Department, right? Again, we want to capture department. Request date. reason, and email address here. Okay, so once we have done this, right, what it means is that upon approval, the information that was submitted through the forms, right, will immediately get captured into the Excel sheet. Okay, let's do a little bit of a customization from here. Yeah, we are going to make or create the Word document according to the info provided by the employee. So in this case, click onto this plus button here and click add an action. Search for Word. And you see the Word Online Business. Click onto that and click on to populate a Microsoft Word template. Okay, by this stage you might have a request, right, for premium approval. Just say yes because it doesn't cost you anything until you want to go into the full feature. So premium feature is quite reasonable in terms of the charges, right? It costs you around 15 USD per month. So if you have a high volume of automation, right, I would recommend that you utilize this premium feature for your organization. Okay, let's do the necessary thing, right, to prep the Word document. Click onto OneDrive for Business. Again, click onto Document Library. Should be quite straightforward for you now. And now let's go to the file or the location where we have saved our earlier Word document file. Right. So this was the one that we have prepared earlier. Click onto this. So if you have clicked onto that, right, you then notice that again, 4 requests for information appear, and these are mapped to the one that you highlighted earlier in the Word document. Yeah. So in this case, just scroll down, right, to again the data from the Microsoft Forms and just fill that in accordingly, right? Department, employee name, right, and the reason. Okay, so we are prepared. Let's do another step, right? This time I want you to type OneDrive. Okay, click on OneDrive for Business and click on Create File. So after that template has been filled with the information, we want to create this file at a certain folder. So in this case, you can pick whichever folder that makes sense for you. But for my case, right, I will be saving it in the same folder where I've created that earlier, right? And file name, you get to name the file too, right? So in this case, I will just name it as verification letter, but I'll put this name here at the end of it so that for every new verification letter created by different individuals, right, it is named differently. Yeah. Do not forget to put .docx, and after that, click onto this. Yeah. So if you've done that, you are all set to go. The only last thing that I want you to do is this: go to send an email approval. For this, click an X, right? Because since this is a forms, right, it might not have captured the right email address. I then want you now to click onto this email that we have captured as an information earlier. Yeah. Now we're going to attach the generated file, right? So make sure that you click this button, yeah, show at once option, and under attachment name, just click onto that. Again, this whole dynamic thing will come out. Under the create file header, look for the word name, which is the name of the file that I've created earlier. Click onto it, then type docx. Okay, and under attachment content, look for the word Microsoft Word document, right? And we are all set to go. So automation preparation is done. What I want you to do now is to go up to the word save, click onto it, and we're going to test our automation now. Yeah, click onto the word test and press the word manually. Okay, so now we are all set to go. What I want you to do now is to go back to the Microsoft form that we have created earlier. Let's fill in the form. Yeah, you can click on anyone can respond and copy the link. Just paste it to the browser again, and now you can fill in the information that is requested by this form. Yeah. So in this case, just type in your name or any other name. So I'll just put Niam Robert. Yeah. Department, I'll select training. Request date, let's say 30th of January. Reason, uh, buying a car. And your email, I'll just type my people hive people hive email. So click submit, and it should trigger your flow to start working now. So if you go back to the flow, right, you can see that it has been triggered, right? And it's indicating that an approval request has been sent. Yeah. So the good news is that the approval request, if for those people who are already utilizing Microsoft Teams uh, in your daily work life, it will immediately appear under the activity tab, right? Then all you need to do is just look at it and approve accordingly. Yeah. If you you can notice, right, based on how we have formed the information earlier in the approval tab, my name Niam Robert appears, right? And the department that I selected earlier as training appear, and the reason is buying a car, it appears too. Okay, so in this case you can click approve, but I won't do that because I also want to show you that the email has arrived onto my Outlook requesting for the same thing too. Yeah, so over here I'll just click the word approve. And so remember earlier we set myself up as the approver, right? So I'm approving my own request, but obviously when you're running this, right, it'll be different. You'll be the approver, but you'll be approving it for other user. Yeah, you might have some comments. You might type approve, but not immediate, right? And you can just click submit. So once you click onto the approval button, you then notice that the flow immediately continue, right? And it captures the data into the Excel table as per what we are looking for, and it creates a Word document and send an email approval to the user, which is us ourselves because we put in our email earlier with the document that's generated for us. Yeah, so let's have a look at the mailbox. Then you notice, right, the documents has appeared with specifically the name that I put into the Microsoft form, right, and you double click onto the Word document, right? The word Niam Robert has now been inserted into the Word document together with buying car and the date and the department, auto-generated. So you can now imagine after the user has inserted the data, right, what you need to do is just review and approve, and the rest will be done accordingly for you. Okay, isn't that simple? And I hope so, and I hope it is simple for you. Okay, so a few key things that you need to watch out for. Uh, if you have completed up until the very end the task that I mentioned earlier, you need to be very careful in terms of the data collection. There's pros and cons to that. You can use Microsoft SharePoint for data collection, and I'll recommend that because SharePoint has all your organization information collected within. And you do not need to ask for certain information like name, right? Because it immediately captures those names. And it allows you to ask for approval from different team leaders of different users. Yeah, but for Microsoft Form, they can't do that for you because it is more open up to external user. Yeah. So if you are running processes that needs you to remind stakeholders on approval, track progresses through hard copy document, do manual data entry into Excel sheet, and send email notification to inform of approval and progress, and repetitively doing the same thing all the time, then you can use this free automation tool to do automation to reduce all those tedious work for yourself. Yeah, so the typical processes that can be automated are listed here, and it'll be more, right? Up according to your imagination. So what can you do right now? Three things that you can start applying to do to start this up in your organization. First, you can review and improve with your FME on specific part of their processes using the tips and tricks that I've taught you earlier. You can conduct a training session to teach them this and let them to go back to apply that accordingly in their workplace. Or you can do a hackathon day, right, where you get people to come in together as a team, and over the space of 2 days, right, review their processes and make the necessary improvement and automation and pilot it up to the organization. Yeah, so three big things that you can do if you choose to, and if you need help, you can do it with the people have support. And lastly, if you do it well, you can drive a continuous improvement culture in your organization where people feel enabled to take action to get things done by themselves without waiting for HR or IT to push for it. All right. So if you have any other questions, right, or challenges, feel free to drop us an email or message us. Just disregard the red color words here. And if you feel that this has been useful for you, feel free to drop us a like through the LinkedIn and Facebook. And I hope that you have gotten some very useful tips from us today. And if you have successfully automated certain tasks or processes, feel free to share that to us right through our LinkedIn, and or if you have certain help that you need from us, right, just drop me a message. I'm always happy to help, especially if it's just some simple things that I can help you with. So if we are all good for today, I wish you for the best for whatever things that you're going to automate, and thank you very much for watching this webinar. Thank you.